Oh, wow. Okay, we don't have much time.
You
We
give me
should
a
start. Are you
Yes.
playing again?
Yep.
Are you playing at least the Tears of a Kingdom now?
Yep.
Is it any good?
It's awesome.
Okay. Wait, are you crying?
Maybe.
At least are there tears of joy?
No, they are Tears of the Kingdom. Hello everyone, welcome to Afterwork Gamers, the podcast where two nerdy Czech guys sit behind the microphone and this time explore open world games. I'm Matouš.
And I'm Michal.
Alright everyone, welcome back to Afterwork Gamers. We hope you had a great month. We had a quite busy month. So, Michal, tell me, have you been able to play any game in this busy month?
Not really, actually. I've been quite busy at work and also been sick again, so that's pleasant.
Yeah.
But so I apologize for my voice. But like I played Hogwarts Legacy a few times, I still haven't finished it. So
Of course you did.
yeah. So what about you?
Well, you really have to ask.
Of
Tears of the
course.
Kingdom has been out and it's been brilliant, so it's the only game I've been playing. Not as much as I would love to, because as I said, busy month, but still I had a few days of vacation, so I spent them mostly
You took
in Hyrule.
you took a vacation to play a video game.
I actually planned to do some other stuff at my apartment, but
You planned to
it was
do.
time well spent.
That means he only played Hyrule.
Yeah.
Tears of Kingdom.
Yeah.
He didn't touch his apartment at all.
Yeah, it's a brilliant game. If you haven't played it, well, basically there are two types of people now: those that absolutely love the Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, and those who haven't played it yet.
I mean, let's not bash on those who like don't play it. And
I
don't
don't
like
blame
it.
you for not playing it, but
Yeah. Well, I saw reviews or people who played, finished it, and didn't like it. So.
well, I've seen someone who made a review like a negative review after he only played it for like 5 minutes.
Oh
Didn't
yeah, well,
even try.
those people, we don't care about those people. Like that's ridiculous. But yeah, let's not bash on other gamers. You enjoy whatever you like, whether
Yeah.
it's
But
Zelda or not.
if you even remotely like RPG games, then give this one a try.
Is it really RPG though?
Yes,
Do you have RPG system there?
yes,
You have a skill tree there?
not really, but
Then it's not RPG.
it is.
Okay, you'll role play as Link, but I would say like RPG has.
You have other
that's-
RPG elements, but yeah.
Okay, but like RPG, I would argue that RPG would have a skill tree at least.
Well, we can dive into RPGs in another episode. That's
Yeah.
a great idea.
Let's do that.
But
Guess what? Which one we gonna talk about?
well, I think with that we can dive into today's topic of today's episode, and that's open world games. Because open world, a world where you can roam freely, sounds like an awesome concept in games, but it kind of is actually. Like we love open world games, and yes, it can be even more awesome than it sounds sometimes.
Yeah.
So, what genres would you say benefit from the open world mechanics? At least, no, it does not have to be necessarily like fully fledged open world, but even some open world, just mechanics, just elements of open world.
Well, definitely most like are RPGs.
Yes.
Whatever type RPG it is, MMORPG, typical RPG, JRPG, whatever it is.
Action
Those-
RPG.
Action RPG. I would also say a lot of action adventure games also can benefit from it. Although mainly they do semi-open world rather than fully open world. Games like Uncharted, The Last of Us, God of War. God of War is.
I don't think Uncharted actually has like a
It
semi-open
has the
world.
fourth one.
The fourth one, yeah.
The fourth
right.
one has, and the Legacy. Internal
Lost
Legacy.
Legacy, yeah.
Yeah. So those games have like a semi-open world.
Yeah, just like the Tomb Raider 2013
Yeah,
and so on.
exactly.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, that's an
Well,
action adventure.
Yeah. I also have some others that might surprise you. BuzzFeed title. So racing genre can benefit from open world games. Actually,
He brought boxes again.
I bought
a lot
boxes
of them this time. Like
so what you mentioned, like we have the RPGs, Tears of the Kingdom, of course.
Can I see the pack?
Yes. Assassin's Creed 2, that's like a typical open world game.
He didn't even bring the game.
Well, I have it in my Switch, you know.
Do you have your Switch with you?
Yeah.
Of course.
There it is. You can see it.
I can see it. They cannot see it.
Red Dead Redemption. This is the first one. Awesome game.
Oh yeah, that's another action adventure.
Yeah. I hope they will one day make like a remaster for modern
again,
platforms.
that's something we say every time, and no one seems to listen to us. Microsoft, please.
Yeah. Then I have the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, legend in open world games. Am I right or am I right?
I don't know. I haven't played it.
And then for the racing games, I got the Burnout Paradise.
Of course.
And the Forza Horizon 4. But yeah, racing games can also benefit from open world elements. Oh, and from RPGs, Fable. I don't know if you watched the Xbox showcase.
I haven't.
But
they showed the Fable trailer.
Yeah, they showed Fable.
I remember picking up the first Fable. I think it was already at the anniversary edition. But I fell in love with Fable.
Yeah,
I didn't mind that the mechanics was kind of the decision didn't really matter, but
you mean like the good bad decision?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was just to be good or bad.
That's and actually,
what
like
it was.
the look of your character changed based on the choices.
That's not like it's gonna change the whole world like in a meaningful way. The choices were very limited, but it's still I fell in love with the world. I fell in love with the humor that Lionheart Studios made. Who works on it? There was a really famous guy. I forgot his name. Moline was his name?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so amazing writer who wrote all the like Fable games, including Fable 3 and Fable. What was the one which used the Xbox controller, like the Xbox Kinect, yeah. The Kinect one. Still, like, it might not have been as fun, that game, but like story-wise was brilliant. Yeah.
Well, from other genres that can benefit from open worlding, I have sandboxes, Factorio, Satisfactory, like you have this open world you can build anywhere. We have simulators, Flight Simulator, for example, Ornithopter, or how it's pronounced, from Dune, coming to Flight Simulator soon, looking amazing. Then we have, technically, you can say Battle Royales are open world, or have some open world elements to it.
Well, that kind of falls under the first-person shooter.
Yeah, I mean, like first-person shooters also can have open world, like Rage, I think. But it does not always work that well in those.
Yeah.
Then we have survival games like, Valheim, Sons of the Forest, and puzzle games like Talos Principle.
Second one is coming soon. Actually, I think this year they announced it, right? Did they announce already the release date or no?
I'm not sure actually, but puzzle games can be open world. 4X games like Stellaris is the example here I have, and also some roguelikes. And actually, some of these can have procedurally generated the worlds.
Yeah,
which is in games like Valheim. I think Factorio has generated world.
Yeah.
So
one case that falls under the first-person shooter category, I would say. Recently, in like, we're gonna be put in the, what's the terrible word for when you don't want to release game yet, so you just give people the
early access.
Early access. The game is called 6 Days in Fallujah. It's basically like a military simulator to show how the war in, I think it was Iran or Iraq, I don't know, how the fighting in Fallujah was. And basically I saw like the breakdown from the devs, and they're using procedurally generated maps. So every time you turn on the game with your mates, every map is gonna look different to simulate how the U.S. Marines or U.S. Army felt, because they didn't know the layout of the map. So just bring that realistic. It looks really good. I don't have it, but I saw a lot of gameplay. I saw some streams, and for me, as someone who likes first-person shooters, especially, I'm kind of a tiny, literally tiny military nerd. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, sounds great. I actually haven't heard about that one, so
yeah, it's been kind of low key for a long time, but now it's just spread out like in the military community. A lot of U.S. Marines are reacting to it or playing it, and you can see like how they're saying like, hey, yeah, this is what it was. Like, I don't know where I'm going, and you don't know where the next encounter is gonna be.
Okay.
So,
yeah. I'll add it to my backlog.
Same.
All right, so for this episode, I would like to try something a little bit different than what we usually do, because we both played a lot of open world games, right?
Yeah.
So I asked Michal and myself to prepare 3 open world games, or games with open world mechanics.
Yeah.
And we will try to briefly talk about them, or maybe mostly about what did we like about them in terms of the open world mechanics.
Yeah.
So would you like to start, or should I?
You can start.
Okay, so first, of course, is Zelda and the latest 2 entries, the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Did you expect anything else from Matos at this point?
I mean, they're awesome games. They got there are 6 games in history that got full score from 2 prestigious media, Edge and Famitsu. Famitsu have like the one that has the 4 reviewers, and it only gets full score if all 4 reviewers give the game a full score.
Cool.
And Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom both got the full review from Edge and Famitsu. So cool. I understand why, because the exploration in those games is very rewarding. Basically, anywhere you go, you can explore, you can find something. It has it could be what's called immersive simulation, because you have real-time physics simulation. So when you chop down a tree on a hill, it starts to roll down the hill. Or you can destroy enemies by rolling a boulder onto them. And you have some abilities that can interact with the physics simulation. There's the story that motivates you to go towards a point, but you get distracted along the way because you explore, you discover the things in the world. Yeah. And one thing I would really like to mention, it's not overwhelming by too many mechanics, because some open world games, Ubisoft often does that in their newer entries. They can be cluttered with way too much mechanics, which can get overwhelming, because like every open world game have to have its own like super detailed crafting system and this and that, and it kind of gets overwhelming. So here there are not way too much mechanics. So that's great. And in the Tears of the Kingdom, there's the new system for building the vehicles, which I thought would be annoying or maybe just a gimmick, but man, it is fun. It is amazing to explore the world in the air. Like you have the whole flying mechanics. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So
cool.
What is your first game?
You really want to know? I think we all know what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Just like I'm obvious, you're also obvious.
Yeah. Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's such a big surprise. This game is taking a huge advantage of the source material. So they basically have all the lore written out for them. And now they
unlike the TV show.
Yeah, they did. No, let's not talk about that one, please. The new trailer dropped and it got so bashed. But I'm still surprised that a lot of people are like excited for it. I'm like, read the books or play the games. Well, anyway, because it has such advantage of the source material, it basically have everything ready. You just need to spread it out nice and evenly, around the world. So The Witcher 3 actually literally changed how open world games are made these days. You know, it's like before that, open world games were filled with just dungeons and just exploration stuff, and all the side quests were kind of just fetch quest generic stuff.
It depends on the games.
It depends on mainly like that was the because that was the you had the main story, that was the main. Excuse me, I feel sick, so bear with me. So before, the quests were kind of generic. Now, The Witcher 3 showed us that all the quests can have a story, can have a good encounter, can have good dialogues, can have rewarding mechanics, and it's not just doing the same thing all over again. So every part of the world has something to offer in The Witcher 3. Either it's a monster to slay, point of interest, some kind of a castle, whatever it is, and enemy or NPC encounters. So it's because it's based on the books, and it's not really like a medieval thing. You have monsters there, and your character, Geralt, Rivia the Witcher, is a monster slayer. So you can basically place. They took such a huge advantage of it. You can basically place monster everywhere you want without overwhelming the player with many encounters, and yet still populate the world enough.
Yeah, and I gotta say the combat system in The Witcher 3 is also done in a kind of nice way, that it's not like too complicated. Yet it has some depth to it, so it can be fun.
Yeah, you cannot just go and slash the sword on everything. So I would say like those are the biggest like strength of the open world building of Witcher 3, and it still holds up. It literally changed the industry. Look at the games now. Look at Red Dead Redemption. Look at how it changed. How much it's changed. Like now you actually have encounters with people that can give you a quest that all of a sudden has like a story that can take for hours.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Witcher 3, it's I would say the game that's most filled with story, because it not have just the main one, but a lot of side stories, and they're great.
I mean, let's be honest. Like The Witcher 3 doesn't have a groundbreaking combat or gameplay. You don't play Witcher 3 for gameplay. You just don't.
Well, kind of. Because the gameplay is exploring the story.
Yeah.
But it's like
I'm mainly talking about the combat.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so the combat
you don't play it for the combat.
Yeah,
True.
exactly.
True.
Even though it feels really cool, especially when you like
improve the signs and learn them.
Yeah, you get the stats right and do it exactly how you want it. So then it becomes more fun. So it's not luckily it's not just generic slashing like Skyrim. Sorry, I have a bit of a beef with Bethesda games, but some of them I like. Yeah.
Okay.
What about your second one? Come on, shoot.
My second one is the before mentioned Burnout Paradise, because it was kind of a. I'm not sure it was I don't think it was the first one. I think there were racing games with open world mechanics before that, long before that. But the Burnout Paradise was the one that offered it in such a nice package. They basically recycled the cities from previous entries like Revenge and made them into nice, feature-rich paradise city. You race with no track, basically. That's what I like about open worlding a racing game. You have a target, and you say, well, you have to get first to the target location, and you can take whatever way you want. So if you have a fast car that does not corner very well, you can just go to the highway. Even though it's longer, when your car is fast, you can get there much faster than the other racers. And the freedom in the racing game is awesome. Just like in, for example, Forza Horizon series, you have to go to the race to take it. You have to explore it. You have a lot of things to explore in the city too. You have some secret shortcuts. You have to break the fence to have mark them as completed. You have to find hidden places. You break the billboards, and even if you have all the races and the Paradise license, I'm actually a multiple times holder of the Paradise license because I own like 3 or 4 copies of the game on different platforms.
I think I still have your PS4 one.
Yeah.
You lent it to me like, what, 2-3 years ago? I still have it. I haven't played it yet either, which is so funny.
Yeah, I know you're not that much into racing games.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this one, even though you have all the races and stuff completed, you can still complete the fastest times in the streets. And we have the mode, I forgot what it's called, but where you basically try to invoke a crash with the biggest damage done in like terms of monetary value. So it's fun. And it offers you the world of the city at your disposal to race on it, break it, do whatever.
That's cool.
So what's your second game?
I would say Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood.
Nice.
That was before, Ubisoft kind of nosedived their career.
Yeah, I agree that the later entries are cluttered with unnecessary mechanics and the story is not as good.
Yeah, well, the Odyssey was fun. Like, the Odyssey was like the latest one that was really good, I would say. I still don't feel like it's Assassin's Creed, but it was a fun game. Like, if they would put any other label on them, like, obviously it would be another Ubisoft game, but at least it would be interesting. Like, at least it would not be like selling on the brand.
Yeah, so about the 2 and Brotherhood. So what did you like about them much better than the Odyssey?
Well, the thing is, Assassin's Creed 1, 2, like, they started like with the parkour thing, in an open world. So they build the whole world around that, which is such a hard thing to do, like to build a world around all the mechanics that you're using and then utilize them properly. So yes, like the quests are quite repetitive. The gameplay can be kind of janky sometimes, but everything is connected to give player the choice how they want to approach it. So yes, some quests are very, very limited to what you can do, but mainly like when you're running around the open world, like every point of interest, every tower, every it feels rewarding, when you just like when you can just get lost in the world, because the maps were such beautifully crafted, both like Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood, which is in Rome.
Well, in the Brotherhood, I would actually say you can kind of see that they switched to the 1-year cycle, because at some places the level design is kind of worse. Like where the second one it was try to find a way to this place, in the Brotherhood it's like, well, if you climb around this place 3 times, you get to the spot, and there's no other way.
Yeah, exactly. That's what that's why. Like, I like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood more because of the gameplay and the story more.
Yeah,
but
that's
true.
true.
Like the Assassin's Creed 2, had better mechanics. Honestly, even it was a bit dated. Now it's a bit dated. It's still like back in the day, it was one of the best game out there.
It's still fun, even
fun.
today.
Yeah, I understand why people don't like it, because it's quite repetitive. But for me,
I mean, if you've played the first one, the first one is repetitive.
Oh yeah,
the second one is not that much.
Yeah, but still,
it's not bad.
Yeah, and what I love also about these games is just the world is live. It's nicely populated. It's not overcrowded, and also it's happening in a big city. So if you feel overwhelmed, yes, it's because it's in a big city. So there lives a lot of people, but it's crafted beautifully. I don't know how much of it is actually towards like realism, like how much realistic the cities are, because I've never been to those cities. But
from I heard that they are kind of accurate, like,
Okay.
or they try to be.
Yeah.
Ubisoft has been great with recreating cities to be kind of accurate.
That's true.
For example, the London in Watch Dogs Legion
Oh yeah.
has been praised for being very accurate.
Well, so also the Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which is also happening in London. So I bet they just took the map from from Syndicate and just smashed it on Legion and just redid it.
Modernize it.
Modernize
few
it,
hundred
yeah,
years.
Yeah. Okay, what is your third game?
Well, my third one is the one we actually play together on your stream. It's the Satisfactory, and
Okay.
it's the sandbox game. It's you build a factory, you
Okay.
try to maximize the production, and here is the open world awesome because you have a handcrafted map at your disposal. It's not generated. They try to fine tune it to be perfect for building factories, to be fun. So you can search the map for resources on the whole map. You can build your factories wherever you want. Some people like to have them all at one place, but some people like to have them spread throughout the whole map. And you totally can do that. And what's also awesome that if you play with different people, the map is kind of big, so you can start at a different place at each time to have it a little bit different, to have some change. Do not always start at the default location. You have resources everywhere, so it makes perfect sense to have a game like this in the open world, to not be limited to some. I know some sandbox games tend to have like smaller levels or something, and I really love that Satisfactory lets you explore the whole world, that you can take advantage of the whole world at once and build your factories there.
That's cool. Yeah, we played it. It was fun, but again, I don't know if I can play it alone.
Yeah, it's that's the thing. Like everyone has different tastes, different play styles. But yeah, this is that kind of game that can be often more fun when you play it with friends. So, what is your third game?
Yeah, I was thinking about it. And I choose Immortal Phoenix Rising.
Ah, that's
It's
a great
basically
one.
the Ubisoft take on Legend of Zelda.
I see you love Zelda.
It's a great game. Like
It is.
and what I like about it, it's also funny. It doesn't take seriously. It knows that it's trying to be Legend of Zelda. So it takes.
Yeah, they don't try to hide it.
Yeah, they don't try to hide it, which is okay. Like, and more to them because they nailed it. Like, it's a fun game.
Indeed.
The mechanics are very well built. It's not just it is not just a cheap take on Legend of Zelda, the Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. It's definitely a great game. The combat is also fun. What I love that again, the beautiful world is very nicely populated, and everything that you see you can climb on and
Just like in the Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, I can say everything that you said about the Legend of Zelda. It will apply here. So only just I haven't played Breath of the Wild, so I don't know how much. Because this feels like there's more emphasis on the story in this game than in the Legend of Zelda,
Yeah,
but
the
that's
Breath of the
okay.
Wild,
Yeah, but that's okay. But because the voice actors are good, it's cheesy. It's super cheesy, but you're gonna love it.
I gotta say, what I love about the story, that it's set in the ancient Greece, like based on the myths and legends.
Yeah.
So you have like Zeus, and basically the story is that Prometheus tells a story to Zeus, and that's you play as Prometheus talks about your story,
Yeah.
kind of. But I love how he makes fun of these myths and legends of
It's not
ancient
just
Greece.
yeah.
Yeah, Zeus, you're actually a terrible father for what you did to your children. How could you think that was a good idea? and stuff?
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. It's like a Jane Austen. Seriously, like I had never read that, but my friend told me it was kind of that she loves that era. By the way, it's not Victorian era. Do you know that? It's called Regency Regency era. But Jane Austen literally wrote those books. I know they're super romantic and stuff, but she wrote it as like a parody of whatever was happening at that time. So I love that kind of a take on those times and myths. Yeah, we don't have to have God of War all the time.
Well, actually, fun fact, there's a quest called God of War in Immortals Fenyx Rising.
Yeah.
Because it's set in the same mythology.
Yeah.
I gotta say, one point for Immortals Fenyx Rising, just like basically all the games you mentioned here, it has an awesome soundtrack that I like to listen at work sometimes by Gareth Coker, the man, the legend who worked on several other great games like Ori and the Blind Forest, for example. And it's awesome soundtrack.
Yeah, that's for me. That's a one thing that really helps me to immerse in the game is a beautiful soundtrack. If the soundtrack is kind of generic, have you listened to the soundtrack of Battlefield 2042?
No.
Don't do it. It's so freaking bad. It's like they have like sirens there and like it's like EDM.
It's a war zone.
It's absolutely like but before Battlefields, like they didn't have the most immersive soundtrack, but it was great. Like it got you pumped for the game. In this game, I don't know what they were doing. Like they just went to a toilet, recorded some farts, and then they put it in the editing software and just did some ETMs to it, add some drums, and just released it. It sounds absolutely awful.
Yeah, so now that we went through our games, I think we can kind of try to take a not retrospective look, but like summarize some of the elements that can make a great open world games. And we started with the soundtrack because yes, soundtrack is what can make open world great or bad. It's like all the games you mentioned have a great soundtrack. Like in the Zelda, it's fun exploring to the soft piano and some other tunes that are there. The soundtrack is amazing. Burnout Paradise, like it starts with a banger. It starts with the Paradise City by Guns N' Roses. Man, it brings so many memories just thinking about it. Such a great one. And it's satisfactory. It's like the soundtrack that just helps keep you immersed, that does not disturb you. It has a little bit of like the industrial fiction hints in it, like so that helps motivate you to building. The games you mentioned too all have, like we mentioned, the Immortals Fenyx Rising.
Yeah, beautiful soundtrack.
Assassin's Creed 2 is also kind of legendary, right? And Brotherhood.
I think what makes why we're mentioning soundtrack is because in these games you do a lot of traveling, a lot of traveling.
And you spend a lot of time in the game.
Yeah, you spend a lot. So you need something to accommodate you on those travels, and you usually don't want have a talkative companion with you all the time. So you need something to fill in the blank, and soundtrack is one way to do it.
Also makes you feel nice and welcome in the game,
especially if it's a beautiful soundtrack. You don't need to have. You don't need to have battle music all the time, and in those games, sometimes you need some nice. I would recommend to go just listen to all those games we mentioned.
Yeah,
just
last one we didn't mention in relevance to the soundtrack is The Witcher 3, which of course has such a great soundtrack. Our DM actually likes to use it sometimes when we're playing D&D because it is a great medieval fantasy soundtrack.
Yeah, and every time he plays it, every time I dance or sing. Because I don't have a shame and I don't like it. I learned most of the lyrics on most of the songs. And oh man, I listen to it every time I have a chance, and I want to, have some nice soundtrack. I love the game and the soundtrack that I actually used the soundtrack on my wedding day. When I walked down the aisle, I played the Kaer Morhen soundtrack.
Ooh, fancy!
And we also got me and my wife. We got married on a castle, so
very nice.
It fit the theme beautifully.
Yes. So we have soundtrack. That's what can make a great open world game, and if it's bad, it can actually make it worse. Yeah. So what the other thing is that's great about what can make a great open world game?
I would say freedom of approach the quest however you want. Yeah, Metal Gear Metal Gear Phantom Pain did it very well. You can approach the quest however you want.
I think they kind of did a great job with that in the Outer Worlds, where they managed to get the quests completable even though you kill the quest giver and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I like in some games, for example, in the Zelda, you have some physics-based quests, and you can approach it, or like not that the physics-based, you can approach it whatever way you like. Like you can. And some like other RPG games, you could go stealth or full guns.
Yeah,
you can kind of cheat the intended way.
This is why I didn't like Red Dead Redemption 2 as much, because it approaches you with you can do whatever you want in this world with the realism and stuff. But then there's this quest when you need to drive a coach somewhere in the open, like somewhere in the open, some secluded area. It says, okay, so I just drove, and I drove somewhere like in the forest or something. But then I realized, okay, it means this specific secluded spot on the map, you know. So it kind of breaks the immersion. Like if you building an open world game, and if you're giving player freedom to do whatever they want, give them the freedom to do whatever they want, you know. Even if it's like a stupid thing, like player goes to, player accidentally picks up an item that this belongs to this quest giver somewhere, and then he approaches the quest giver. Hey, I already have the sword that you're looking for. Is that yours? And it's like, oh yeah, that's fine. Thank you. So this is your money, and not that you approach the quest giver. And, I'm the hero. I need you to give get me this item. Is it over there? Oh, okay, I already have it. Like,
well, I mean, I guess
it's a small thing, but
I guess this can be fine if it's done right. Like if he says, "I need a sword," oh, you already have it.
Yeah, no.
When it's like interrupt in the whole quest line explanation.
Yeah. But it's such a small thing, but you get the idea. Like I think like giving freedom to the player.
And the games we mentioned all give that. Like
mostly
the Assassin's Creed, the freedom of movement, just like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, freedom of movement, Burnout Paradise, free roam anywhere in the city, Immortals Phoenix Rising, freedom of movement.
Yeah,
you can just like in Zelda and Assassin's Creed, climb and use the glider to move elsewhere.
Yeah,
in The Witcher also. So like all these games give you the freedom of that. So that's other point. I think you mentioned a little bit, touch upon the immersion.
Yeah,
I would say that can be very good for open world games when you are set in the world that feel alive, that you can get lost in technically. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
You can feel like you are in the world.
Yeah.
For that actually was about the Red Dead Redemption 2 great, because the immersion was so great that there were moments that you felt with your main character. I don't want to spoil it, but in the end of the story, you felt like you were living through what he lives in and have all the troubles he had in the Wild West. And that's awesome. Like you said that when the world is alive, when the game is not blocking you from doing stuff your way, you get immersed. And
the immersion is really important, like in any game basically, but in open world exactly, because you need to get the player excited about the open world, and that it's not just, hey, look at this beautiful world that we crafted. It looks beautiful, and you need to populate it with quests. You need to populate it with enemies. You need to populate it with points of interest where the player can go, and you need to give them something to do there. But you need to do it immersively, because if you're just gonna put a quest that's out of nowhere, like I don't know, if for example in The Witcher 3, and all of a sudden you would have to talk to I don't know, something that Witcher wouldn't do, kill a dragon. All of a sudden, it's just out of place. The Witchers don't kill dragons, so they don't take contracts for dragons. So it would just be out of place. So you need to do it immersively good enough so the player doesn't feel lost. and can connect to the world.
I would say that you kind of once again
We're so good at this. We're so good
started
at this.
with another one, and that's the rewarding. Yes, you touch upon that, like you have to populate the world, and that's it. You need to have the open worlding feel rewarding, because if you make an awesome open world, but the player doesn't feel rewarded for exploring it, he will only go through the main quest. And there are actually a lot of games that do that, or a lot of games that populate the world but with filler content. Once again, Ubisoft has been doing that a lot of lately. I have sent you a video by Circle Toons AG, I think.
I haven't finished it, but it's really fun.
About how shorter games can be much more awesome than longer games because they don't have the filler content.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the filler content is like blocking you from doing the fun stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even that, but like, you have a great amount of content, small, like good content, but now you have to also fill, like as you said, like fill the content all around that, because you might have a great story and good side quests, but player will just not do the side quests. He will explore the world, so you have to give him something to do.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't have to be necessarily filled with like content and side quests sometimes, if the exploration itself can be rewarding. For example, in Forza Horizon games, I sometimes like to just drive around the world and explore the world.
Exactly.
You can have things like, yes, you can find if you arrive here, you explore, like in the Horizon, you explore all the roads, and that's like you get a reward for that. But you can also have like, you just have fun doing that, and that's the thing. Like if the journey is the fun, not the destination, then that's also rewarding.
Yeah, that's why the Red Dead Redemption 2 made me feel like I'm insane. Because, the exploration of the world was beautiful. Like, I loved the horse riding, even the horses were sometimes dumb and then like typical Rockstar bugs always happened. But the world was beautiful. It was technical marvel at that time. But everything else was just excuse me. Some stuff were like hyper realistic, then all of a sudden the other stuff were not realistic. Yeah, and you know what? Like for me, like coming back to the soundtrack, if I can if I can listen to the soundtrack apart from the game, like just on its own, then it's a good soundtrack. Red Dead Redemption 2 doesn't have it. I'm sorry, but the soundtrack, it's just, I can just go to country radio and listen to the same songs. I'm sorry. It's not a soundtrack. It's a music album, basically, at that point. But that's why, like, the exploration was so beautiful, but the world was freaking empty. Like, there are some points of interest. I go there, and what I found a letter that just tells me whatever I... Like, if you give player the exploration, give them something to find, something good. Don't punish him for exploring.
Or at least it can be even something little, like in Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, you have the 900 Koroks to find, which there are like different ways to find them. It's like
the
a
leafy
mini
boys?
puzzle. Yeah. And they are everywhere in the world. Like there's 900, so basically every few meters there can be one.
Yeah.
And if you even a little thing can make even the like emptiest of places feel much more alive and immersive and rewarding.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like loot or some kind of like fine stuff, like what Pantos just mentioned. Just fill the world with those things. Don't just. I know. It's not realistic, Red Dead Redemption, but we don't play the games for realism.
Yeah, we don't want Western simulator. We want Western
game. If you want to make a Western simulator, make Western simulator.
And call it Western simulator.
Yeah, but be consistent with it.
Yeah. I would also say it can be rewarding finding pieces of the story and about the world, like in Horizon Zero Dawn. I really liked finding the pieces and recordings of the history to kind of figure out what happened.
Yeah. That's true.
In the main storyline, you find some stuff about it, but in the other pieces in the world, you can actually find more details about what was happening, about some of the people, some more context, or even there are the vantage points where you can find like even the images of the past, and that is great too.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Just reward the player for exploring.
And
Don't punish him.
in games like Mass Effect, in the trilogy, you can actually like stuff you manage to complete can transfer to the next game. So if you manage to do all things well, you can have a whole lot of allies in the third one pretty easily. And also a fun thing which can be rewarding for a lot of players is discovering like romance options. Which is actually made me kind of sad that in Red Dead 2 you didn't have this option, because like I would totally try to romance Sadie.
Oh my gosh.
No, it was like she was a great character, and like, don't tell me you don't do the romance options in video games.
Of course I do.
All right. And
I'm not
especially
insane.
like we were saying, like if you're trying to do the game more like simulation like giving the romance options on the Western, I mean, that would be great.
Yeah.
Make notes, Rockstar.
Yeah. if you listen to us, that'd be great. Imagine
be awesome.
if Rockstar would come up with a Western dating simulator. No, please don't do that.
No. But like having the option in next Red Dead, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have any other points from what we talked about that you think make can make a great open world?
Well, the map needs to be beautifully crafted.
Yeah, we kind of mentioned that is 100% true. The world needs to be
good,
done in a good way.
Yeah, because if you might have the best quest, but if you have nowhere to put them, like it needs to make sense. The world needs to make sense from a level design standpoint. It needs to make sense.
I remember I was watching some online conference about like a small studio that started as mostly 3D artists or something like that, and they said they started making the game by creating world. And although the world was amazing, it wasn't working well with the game. And they discovered that basically it works well building the world along with building the game, because you can tailor the game towards the game mechanics.
Okay.
You can make it feel more natural, like the mechanics will feel natural if the world is tailored to them, just like in the Assassin's Creed. Like if they build it in an open field, that would be boring, because one of the things awesome about Assassin's Creed is climbing on the buildings, escaping on the roofs, climbing the Ubisoft towers, which is a mechanic they're famous for, right?
Yeah, that's why I guess the Odyssey and Origins and Valhalla felt kind of weird, because they were basically like super open world game, and that's what also didn't work on the Assassin's Creed 3, because there were too many open, empty terrains. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you can climb on trees, but that's different than like hiding on roof of the building or stuff like that. Yeah. So the exploration needs to be natural. The world needs to be tailored towards the mechanics. Yeah. Yes, there are exceptions, like we mentioned. The procedurally generated worlds can totally work. Yeah, but those are mainly sandboxes. They're not like even 6 Days in Fallujah. Like it's more just an arcade shoot. No, it's not. It's more a simulator, but it's more of you have a point what you need to do. Like you go from there to there, and you have a set thing. But open world, you need to have multiple set things. Okay, so for the last thing, I think that can make a great open world, which we touched upon, so I will just briefly mention it. Yeah, and that can be the story. Because it is great if you have some nice motivation for exploring these awesome worlds, for doing the quests. If it's like,
I would say an example, Mass Effect 3, you're trying to get allies, so that's your motivation.
Yeah.
So you do side quests, you don't do the main quest necessarily right away,
Yeah.
because you're trying to get as many allies as you can.
That's true.
And
yeah.
like if you have some motivation, it doesn't actually need to be something huge in a lot of games.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to have some good story that will give you the feel, that will A, immerse you as we mentioned, and B, make it all worthwhile.
Yeah, that's why the story of Witcher 3 is so perfect, because this is not a spoiler. The game came out in 2015, so
if you haven't played it, you should have.
Yeah, that's the main motivator of the story is you need to find Ciri, and therefore you need to look everywhere, examine all the evidence, and on top of that, you need to make money to. I love how they did it, like to get to the second big area. So from Novigrad to Skellige, you cannot just go there. You need to get like money to get on a boat and then get to Skellige. But for you to make money, you need to do side quests. You need to do monster,
and you need to get equipment and experience, skills.
I mean, you still can go with just you can go with level 1, but you need to make money. So you need to loot, you need to do side quests, you need to do a monster contract, or the Witcher contracts, and so it's just a nice motivator to get you explore the world. And it's not just, oh yeah, we have open world, you can do whatever you want. There's a reason why you're exploring, to get better, to have a better equipment, to have more money, and eventually to proceed to the next location.
So last but not least, I would like to talk about in this episode is how developers and publishers approach open world mechanics, because everyone has different preferences, but that does not mean that a mechanic should be forced on a game that don't need it, because it can actually make the game worse sometimes. So should every game be open world to succeed? And isn't the mechanic getting tiring sometimes?
No and no. I don't like. Not every game needs to be fully open world. Like, great example, God of War. Yeah, it went to kind of like a semi-open world, and it worked for that game. But you need to know what you're doing. Like, not every RPG necessarily has to be an open world game.
That is 100% true.
Yeah. So you just need to know what the scope of the game will be, because when you for example, let's say you are a smaller team and you want to make open world game, then you're shooting yourself into the foot bomb, because unless you're doing procedurally generated world, you are taking a big bite, because open world game needs
time and care.
It needs to be populated.
Yeah, like for example, the Tears of the Kingdom, it was like 5 years in the making.
Yeah.
And I think they reused a lot of the code base they had for Breath of the Wild, just modified it. So they could have technically spent like 7, 8, maybe more, depending on how we transferred the work from Breath of the Wild, which was also in the works for 5 years. So it's like, let's say 10 years of work and experience for a single game.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is how hard can be creating awesome large open world.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, open world, you need to populate it with mechanics. You need to populate it with stuff, and then also you need to facilitate the game mechanics for the world. So you need to need to think about, okay, this will show player that he can jump over this. You need to show player how to get over obstacles.
Oh yeah. The level design needs to feel in connection to the game mechanics and the player himself.
So it's natural, like you can do a tutorial like press W to go to that circle over there. or now look left, now look right. But you know, you need to think about the world so it makes sense to the player and he doesn't get lost in it. Like lost in it. Like I mean, lost, not just lost in it because how in awe he is or she, but
And not the TV show.
yeah. But the player needs to know every time where he is, when he needs to go, what to do, and you know, find their way in the world. But isn't the mechanic getting tiring? It depends on the game.
Yeah, I would also say it depends whether it fits into the game or not.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I heard Diablo 4 is open world game, and I don't know. I don't know how well it is crafted, how well the world is, because Diablo
I heard
4.
some praise about the Diablo 4 though.
Apparently it's a good game. Right? So,
I guess that it works for them.
yeah. So Blizzard, wow. Good job. You can put up a game, put a good game out when you can. Jeez.
When you want, you can actually.
So yeah, but you know, Diablo 4 before wasn't an open world. It was a dungeon crawler, so you didn't need to have an open world.
But
you had massive levels, but it wasn't open world.
Yeah, it was like open world mechanic, more like you have these elements that you can free roam.
You can free roam.
It's like, for example,
level.
the Metro Exodus, I think, it's not fully open world, but it has like these open world areas you can explore.
So that's again, that's like same thing with Uncharted 4.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. You should not force the full open world where it does not belong. A lot of the times, just some of the mechanics of the open worlding can work much better.
Yeah, and you also think the level design came a long way. So level design is not just say, okay, now press spacebar to jump. Like now you can just visually show them, like, this is what you do. Yes, it is annoying that a wall has a white paint on it, but you know, sorry, not every game is Legend of Zelda where you can climb everything. So, because just game doesn't have the mechanics for it.
Yeah,
so you need to signify it somehow to the player. You need to tell them, okay, hey,
you can climb this.
You can climb this. This is where we want you to go.
So it's also about the communication.
Yeah, the communication to the player, yeah.
Even the silent one. It can be also through a sound design, for example, and stuff.
Yeah.
But if we decide to go open world, is it necessary to have the largest open worlds? Because I remember in the past it was like, yeah, this game is better because it has like larger open world than this game. So do we really need it? And I 100% agree. And what is your opinion on handcrafted versus procedurally generated world?
The handcrafted, I have just more respect to it, because you need to think about everything. It's not just I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna sculpt it somehow and hopefully it makes sense. You need to think about every location ahead, because you know, you need to give them a point of interest. Okay, he knows there's gonna be something over there, and without even looking at the map, like, you know, he will like just naturally go there. So the handcrafted worlds, every map designer or level designer have so much respect to it. Procedurally generated worlds have their magic. You know.
Yeah, I would say that the advantage can be for some types of games.
Yeah,
like you mentioned the survival games, for example.
Yeah.
In Valheim, it's more fun if you can have for each save, for example, when you're playing with friends by yourself, the world take a slightly different shape.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it would work well for more story-oriented games.
No.
Like imagine Witcher 3 with procedurally generated world.
That would not work. That would not work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious about some of the games that are coming out soon that kind of combine these elements, because it seems like it could be, we'll see, could be a good thing, because you can have a handcrafted, like the main story thing, and procedurally generated the content that is there if you want to stay in the game longer. But we'll see if it's forced upon to you or not.
Yeah, that's true. I think I cannot. I guess I don't know if I want to imagine it even, because you need to now, even like you have the set stuff and everything around is gonna be procedurally generated. Like I guess depends what kind of a game we're talking about. RPG definitely will not work. Action adventure games definitely will not work. Because survival games, yes. Survival game with some stories, yes.
Or like sandboxes can often work.
Yeah.
Like I think doesn't Minecraft has like procedurally generated world?
Yeah.
The Factorio.
Yeah, but we're talking about story-driven games.
Yeah,
now.
of course.
So I don't think it will work if you're having story-based game. If you have a main story and then the rest of the world we're gonna be procedurally generated, I don't think it's gonna work.
I mean, like it can, depending on how the story is set. For example, like Dead Cells is a roguelite game, and it's not fully open world. You have just these open world areas.
Okay.
Like each area you like once you complete it, you can only get back, but in differently generated after you die. But I guess it works well there because it's like an action game.
Yeah.
So, but it has some story to it which you try to explore. But it depends how the story is set. It's not heavily relying on the story.
Yeah, I would say that's not a really good example for this.
Okay, fair point.
Yeah, I would say let's take what games we could take that.
I mean, I think even like games relying on story can work well with procedurally generated content, but in some rare cases, I would say.
I would say maybe in some small locations.
Yes,
like very small, secluded locations.
That is true.
Because again, you have to populate the world with quests, and if the location is going to change every freaking time, then you need to do it. Whatever the player will find, then you have to have the options set up, and if every time it will look different, it's just I don't see it working. Like honestly, like if you're making a story-driven game, you need to have a crafted world. You cannot have it procedurally generated.
But you can do another combination, and that is like I think it is used in Minecraft Dungeons, where you basically have handcrafted pieces that are tied together, and it only gives like a few options depending on how you combine them, but it can change slightly the dungeon each time you go in. It's like not complete generation; it's just a option to like reshuffle it differently.
Okay, but that game doesn't have really much of a story.
Well, it does actually.
Surprisingly
more than you would think.
Yeah, no, I played it. It's not that you have, 30, 40 hour story, with cutscenes and stuff. So you need to think about those.
Yeah, well, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I'm just trying to say like some of the elements of the generation can work for story-based game, but usually not that much.
Not that much.
No.
Yeah. I cannot see it like with the big RPGs.
No.
I cannot see it.
I mean, I could see there being like some dungeon that's different each time, but it's like one small piece of large game.
Yeah.
Anyway, is there any game or franchise that you think would be awesome if they added some open world elements or even a full open world mechanic to it?
That's a good question.
It's like I've been thinking about it, and it came to my mind directly.
Yeah.
The Astral Chain by Platinum Games, playable on Switch. The Nintendo ordered it as an exclusive, so you can play it only on Switch. But it is an awesome game about you being a policeman in a special force in like sci-fi / fantasy world
Yeah.
in a way, I would say. But there are some open world parts, like some mechanics in there where you roam around the city and you try to help the citizens and stuff. And I think it could work actually really well if you made the whole city an open world and you wouldn't pick up the quests of the story in a different order as you would go along the city and help the citizens. I think it could work really well because the setting is quite nice actually.
I cannot think of anything because every time I think of something, there already is an open world game in that franchise.
Okay.
So I was thinking like Mario, Odyssey. Shit.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of games. Then I don't think I don't know if any games like definitely benefits from it, because some they did because they actually thought about the open world, and
I think it would be sometimes that when games don't have open world elements, even though it could work, it usually was because of like budgetary restrictions.
yeah,
So
it's true.
maybe they thought about it too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, okay, the other side then. What game you think would work better without being open world?
Okay. Yeah, let me think for a second.
Okay, so I can start again.
You can start. Yeah.
It was the one we talked about in the last episode, and it's the Atomic Heart.
Oh,
in
yeah.
my opinion, the open
Okay,
worlding
that's true.
there is totally unnecessary and annoying. And I think it would work much better if it was linear game. Maybe some open world parts, just like in a Tomb Raider, 2013, and some other games we talked about today, but focused more on the story because the open world there kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Like the roads are annoying. You had no ways to conquer the places forever. At least none that I found. But it's true, after some time interacting with the open world elements, I got bored and just focused straight on the story because I was annoyed by the open worlding.
Yeah,
so
same.
that's not good to force it that way.
Yeah. I would also mention a game that we mentioned last time, and it's Redfall.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the open world kind of hurts the game.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe true.
Because, well, first of all, it's not populated at all.
Yes.
So
That.
yeah. So I'll leave out all the other crap surrounding it, but like the open world in that game is just empty, and I just had another game in my head. Oh yeah, the Division.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like the New York there and everything is beautiful, or Washington in the Division 2 is beautiful, but I would say maybe make the world a bit smaller, if anything. Like it was just like just walking around the streets, and every now and then you encounter like loot, or you encounter, but there's nothing interesting happening. Like the NPCs that's roaming there don't give you quests. Only quests you get are at the, the stations, the operation bases or whatever you call it. So it was kind of I would rather see it more in semi-open world, if anything.
Okay.
Because
sense.
you can get, like, there's nothing happening there. Like, it's beautiful, don't get me wrong. Like, if Ubisoft does anything right, it's the world looks beautiful. Yeah, and they are
Agreed.
usually very, very exact copies of the maps, of the real world stuff.
Yeah, they're great at that.
So they're great at that. But maybe just trim it down a little bit, and it would be a great game. Because you all of a sudden you can, I remember playing the Division first one. I think I got it for free somewhere, and I was just roaming like around the world and like looking for something. I was just, I didn't even have quests at that point, so I just like was roaming in our world. I was roaming for like 45 minutes and seeing no enemies because I just was avoiding them somehow. So that's so sad. Like, you have this big open world, but there's nothing to do.
Yeah, that's true. So, I would say to close this up, any upcoming open world games that you are excited about?
Fable.
Same.
I'm a
Yeah.
huge Fable fan. Like
Yeah.
the previous games are absolutely beautiful. Third is kind of it was a good game, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't as good like as the first one. I actually never played the second one because that's on Xbox, so that was sad.
I mean, they all are available on it.
Yeah, I don't have Xbox. I'm not planning to buy Xbox anytime soon, nor PS5. So, but or Switch. But Fable, definitely. That's I like. Again, they didn't show much, which kind of pissed me off because they just showed like a trailer basically, and I was like, show me the gameplay, show me the mechanics. Like how much are you going to continue the legacy that Lionheart Studios did, and like what game is it going to be? Is it going to be something like the previous games, or are you planning to do something totally new? Like I like the surprise drop of what's his actor's name?
Richard Ayoade?
Yeah, Richard
I'm
Ayoade.
not sure I pronounce it correctly, but yes.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise there.
Indeed.
But so that's a one game that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, for me it's also what I'm really excited. I didn't think I would be, but after the latest showdown, the Starfield.
Okay.
Because that's the game that combines the procedurally generated world with the handcrafted, and if the procedurally generated is there for like you to build bases and mine materials, and it's not forced upon to you, then I'm fine with that. If the main story is fine, but damn, there would be so many options. Like I like how you can build your ship and make it kind of your home. There's so many options there. The world looks pretty amazing and I love the style. They call it the NASA punk, which means like it's still sci-fi, but they try to have it grounded in reality, you know? So it's like the NASA style is function over style. So they try to like in NASA they have everything that it's like unlike what Apple is doing, that NASA makes everything to be primarily functional, and the looks that are not their primary or even secondary concern.
Yeah,
and I dig that. It looks amazing, and as a fan of space exploration, I remember when I was a kid, I had this encyclopedia about all the rockets and how they were racing to the moon. I really dig the style they chose in Starfield.
Yeah, I would maybe say two other games. I'm just looking at the list, what's coming out, because I totally forgot what's coming out this year. So Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 5. Hopefully, I don't know if it's coming on PlayStation 4.
By the way, fun fact, go see Across the Spider-Verse. It's awesome.
Is it good? Is it awesome?
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so yeah, with that, Spider-Man 2. Trailer looked and gameplay looked absolutely amazing. I'm sorry, my brain had a stroke right there. And another one is Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I think in some of the previous episodes.
Yeah. I said I never played the previous entries, but as a big fan of Dungeons and Dragons now, it's a must play. Yeah.
For me, another one on the list is Assassin's Creed Mirage. Because
I totally forgot about. How did I forget about that?
Because I gotta say, I really like the first Assassin's Creed. Is very repetitive and it does not have that much of a content, and it has a lot of flaws. But it has that like vibe to it, the style and the setting. It's the thing that like I connected with the most, because it's the one that goes the best with the Assassins itself, because rest is like continuing the legacy. But like before Assassin's Creed, if you would think about where would Assassins be, it would be this one. So I am really looking forward for I don't know, I'm still not sure if it will be like kind of remake of the story of the first one, or a completely new story, but I'm still up there for it. I hope it will be returned to the roots.
Basically, it's like the continuation of the Valhalla, because you play as Basim. There's a character from Valhalla. So,
Well, we'll see. I'm looking forward for that one.
Yeah, that's true. Assassin's Creed Mirage. That's
And I think we will have much more other open world games coming this year.
Yeah,
and,
we'll see.
And the other ones, I think they're on the just on the showcase and just on the Summer Games Fest. Or
Yeah.
There are a lot more other games announced. So if you are excited for some open world games, be sure to leave a comment. Also leave a comment if you have some other takes on the topics and opinions we talked about. We would love to hear them.
Yeah.
So I would say that's it for this episode. We thank you so much for listening / watching if you're on YouTube. And we hope to see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Afterword Gamers are Michal Jarásek and Matouš Plaňanský. If you enjoyed listening to our rambling, be sure to give us a follow on your favorite platform and don't forget to rate our podcast. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can leave a comment about the topics we talked about and we will try to answer. Follow us on our social media at Afterword Gamers Cast on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you in the next one, and don't forget that you can always game after work.
At least are there tears of joy?
No, they are tears of the kingdom.